Hello, welcome. We have returned. It is a Friday, a good one at that. Jason will be here momentarily. He's futzing around talking to people over lunch while I'm in here painting with you guys. Sounds like fun to me. We are gonna keep working on this guy. He's almost done. Very close to being done, actually. Gotta do like the gun casings. I gotta finish the robes, belt, a little freehand on that stuff. Hey, look, the benefit is he's got the opportunity to let me do the thing, get it started. He can roll in whenever he likes. So, he is coming here right now. I can hear him. He's talking. He's saying stuff. Oh, wait. He's walking to his office instead. What's happening? What's up, Phoenix? T. Schmidt, R2 Mini Painting Studio. How's it going? Trying to figure out if we want to do red on the casings for the gun or black. Not sure yet. We got to do freehand for the sigil. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Are we on?
We are on.
Are the people here?
People are here.
Hello, people.
There are people here. We have them here. They are arrived.
Hello. Howdy. Hi. I brought these. I brought a package for me and a package for the class.
So 2 packages for you.
Yeah. I'm going to eat one and not talk about it. And the other one, I'm going to talk about while I eat it. So that everybody in class can share. Because you're supposed to bring enough for the whole class. So I brought enough for everybody. Hi! Arctic says, oh, now he turns up. I'm like on time. What are you talking about?
Technically, you're like 3 minutes.
No, I'm on time. I got used to him starting the stream 5 minutes late last week.
5 minutes late? There was one day I think I was 3 minutes late.
Yeah. So see, I was 3 minutes late. Technically on time. I thought you'd change the time to 12:03 Pacific. Look at my hair.
You haven't gotten it cut yet.
No. It's getting harder and harder to wash. It eats way more shampoo than my hair should eat.
Yes.
It's like there's a weird science. There's math. You know math doesn't work. There's a few things in life that show you that mathematics is all made up. One of them is boogers. Boogers, it feels like you have like a boulder in your nose. Mm-hmm. You know, you're like, ow, and then you pick it and it's tiny. The second is pooping. Because you poop sometimes and you're like, again, boulder. And then you look, and it's like this, right? So that's how you know math. The third is that you go from like a little splotch of shampoo does your hair just fine, to where the splotch like doesn't even do like this part, and you have to be like all the shampoo to lather your head up. There's no in between. So math is wrong. Also, math is wrong because there's an infinite number of points definable between any two places, as fractional math declares. And so you cannot move through infinity, so you technically can never get from point A to point B because there's an infinite amount of points you have to cross in between. And Stonehenge. Baby J, dead. Jason, 1. Baby J, 0. Winner. You thought that? He went out that door and came back in this door. So Baby J. And now he's on the comfy chair. You thought Thursday was for therapy? It is.
We can't have a
Fridays for blow your mind. I just blew your mind. Yeah. With the whole movement thing. Now you didn't go from there to there. You never really got there. Well, it's a figment of your imagination.
I never got there. Have comfy chair Fridays, where we stream from the chairs
and paint.
That would be awesome.
Or just chat.
Or that, or chat.
We could just chat from the chairs.
Yeah,
the comfy chairs. I am full on like Grizzly Adams mode. I need a haircut. I need to shave.
Yeah.
I'm like a homeless person that paints.
I'm doing okay. My beard comes in pretty fine for a long time.
Phoenix is like, too bad we can't order our minis painted.
That'd be great.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, so I think I finally figured out what army that I'm going to do for 40k.
Oh, what?
I think I'm going to do Necron.
Oh. That was my least favorite of all your choices. What do you?
Why didn't you present that opinion to me earlier?
I did.
When did you?
Just the other day. I said it's the least interesting to paint.
For you?
They're all the same.
You could say the same thing for Space Marines.
You can do a lot more with Space Marines. But hey, I don't want to ruin your shine. I don't want to dull your shine, baby. You do you. You just make the best, most amazing Necrons ever in the history of ever. And I will eat crow. Or goldfish.
Well, you are eating goldfish, right?
I'll do it again. I have another bag. I have 2 more bags on my desk.
I'll go steal those ones.
I stole chicken nuggets from him today.
He tried to, and then I gave them to him.
I thought I was being all crafty.
Sad.
I was like, hey, look, something shiny. And he wasn't really buying it, but he did it anyway. And I stole a nugget. And he's like, would you like to have the rest of these nuggets? I'm not going to eat them. And I said, they don't taste as good when they're not stolen. You want to see Baby J do 5-minute speed paints of Necrons? 5 minutes? That's a gauntlet being thrown right there.
You probably could.
Yeah, probably could. Yeah, just dip them.
Or just do this.
Yep.
Which is what I'm thinking of doing for the Necrons.
Yep. That could work. Arctic says, what about the Soul Drinkers you're working on? That's where I thought he was going to go after yesterday. He was very elated about the Soul Drinkers.
I'm going to be honest, it's too much work. Like, I probably would never finish a whole army of this. And I still have Sons of Horus that I want to do.
Yeah, you got a lot of Space Marines to paint for 30k.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Had I not already finished enough Dark Angels to feel comfortable playing Dark Angels in 30k, I wouldn't be painting Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Division Ring, exactly. Division Ring brings up a good point. I now have a new way of communicating with Baby J. I'm just going to do it on bright pink, like, pieces of paper. Stick them all over his monitor.
I'm hilarious.
What Space Marine chapter would you wish to visit our Earth to protect it if we needed them? Like today's Earth?
Imperial Fists.
I feel like if you need Space Marines, you're already screwed.
Also true.
Because there's very few stories where Space Marines show up and the whole planet's around to thank them for their service at the end.
That's true.
It's more like most of the
gone.
Space Marines leave and the planet did not fall to the bad guys. But everybody else is dead. So at that point, I really don't care. Because I'm already at the understanding that this is a bad thing. Hashtag bad stuff. Salamanders. Yeah, not only do you die, but they burn you to death, too. That's great.
I don't like the idea of being hit with a flamethrower.
Down, human. Whoosh.
Much less a flamethrower from the 41st millennium. Which sounds awful. Getting hit by a flamethrower in general sounds bad. And then you think about the fact that theirs are much better than ours.
Yeah.
And you're like, this sucks.
The Inquisition would be even worse. Well, the Inquisition only shows up to make sure that everybody dies anyway.
I don't want the Inquisition anywhere near us.
Salamanders are super protective of local populace. Okay, those guys then.
Yeah.
That worked.
They're the nicest of the Space Marines, apparently.
I still don't think it has to do with what nicety level your Space Marines are at. Because like I said, when they send in Space Marines, you're already at FUBAR. Right? If there's a chance for humans to survive, it's just the Guard. It's when they decide that, hey, we can't let that planet fall to the bad guys, that they send in Space Marines. I don't think Space Marines have it in their force dossier that body counts are to be limited.
They don't really care. They just get
the poster says Adeptus Astartes. Collateral damage is what we do. That's like their advertising.
Servitor.
I think you'd be lucky if you'd still be enough of you left for a servitor. You still need like a brain. Or at least a chunk of it.
Yeah, our rules of engagement do not include collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly. Can you opt out? That's what I was saying, Arctic. Is like, I kind of just don't want to be part of this.
Yeah. Can we just get, like, none of that stuff?
We're just strangers passing in the night. Look, it's the Space Marine blockade coming in, and it's me and my tiny spaceship leaving. I feel like we'd have to at least have spaceships if we can somehow call Space Marines, right?
Yes.
So I opt for leaving till it's over.
Are those drop pods?
Yeah, what color are they?
Does it matter?
No.
No.
If Space Marines are there, you're FUBAR. This is the way it goes. Welcome to the 41st millennium.
Telemachus, thank you for the sub. 72 months. Woof. Duh.
That sounds like 6 years.
That is, in fact.
6 years? That's a very long relationship we've had, Tell. Lots of bad jokes. Tell has in the past been the king of the dad joke. So we'll see what he does to us today. Joke. Thank you, Tell. Welcome back. What's the worst Space Marine force to have deal with those? 40K, Starship Troopers, Doom Guy? What do you mean? What's the worst Space Marine force to have deal with those what? The real Starship Troopers are more badass than Space Marines.
What? Like, who would you want least on your planet?
Who would you want least on your planet?
40K.
Probably 40K.
Yeah.
Probably
Contextually
40K.
the worst.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I don't think you want any 40K force anywhere near you.
No.
Because again, that whole world already presupposes bad things. It's not like there is no protection in 40K. There is no our savior. Nah. Because what you're left with is already horror. Anyway, as the Space Marines pack up and wave goodbye, thanks, fair citizen, and then they launch off, and the citizens are all like shell-shocked, eyes wide open, dirty faces, looking around, nothing standing. You know, I guess now's where we do the rebuild thing.
Yeah, it's like, I guess we clean up now.
I guess here's where we do the rebuild thing.
Yeah.
Only to realize that the orc invasion, the Space Marines only left because they killed all the active ones, but they know the spores are still there, so you look up into the sky after the Space Marines leave and the virus bombs come. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works. Hey, you're welcome, bird.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thunderhawk takes off.
Yeah. 40K is just hell.
Yeah.
Right? Doom Guy went to hell and did a pretty good job of killing everything. Right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't like a destructive force against the just all the bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
And specifically in hell.
In hell.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't send Doom Guy. Initially,
fine.
he was like in the base, right?
Yeah.
Same with like Unreal. Like, you were in the base, but then you went to their world.
Yeah, you went to hell.
Yeah. So, 40K is pretty much just they don't care. We're here, we're kill. Whatever's left over, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want 40K guys anything from 40K.
Oh, that was one hell of a sleepover. Who are your friends again? They kind of dirtied up the place, and they smell funny.
Yeah, I'm really not sure I want anything from 40K anywhere near our universe.
If Doom Guy shows up, you probably have bigger problems than if you have Ultramarines. Okay.
Well,
so
hold on.
let's take a step back. Maybe, because Doom Guy is that hell is leaking out, but that's kind of chaos, and that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure if Ultramarines are there, they might be protecting you against the chaos invasion.
I think that we have a side to say for Doom Guy that at least he's still human. Right? Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Doom Guy's still human. So you would assume that he still has a spark of want to save humanity. That's what drives him. Space Marines?
Context, latest Doom game, more than half the world had been eaten by demons before he woke up. Hey, look. Let's just make sure that he's got an alarm.
Yeah, okay, wait. It wasn't like he was sleeping off a bender from the night before.
Yeah.
Right? I think he was in like cryostasis, wasn't he? It wasn't like Doom Guy came in late from a date, right? And was like, would you guys please stop with the noise? A few times hitting the snooze button.
Yeah.
Before he got up and was like, oh, hell, it's this again?
And to be fair, Space Marines aren't going to get here before the problems start.
They never show up.
Yeah.
Nah.
They're going to be like, oh, that planet's almost done. Let's go in and get the job.
Now, if you read the Gaunt's Ghost novels, in like the last of the Gaunt's Ghost novels, Gaunt has to pull in a personal favor from a chapter master that he knew or a librarian that he had met along the way in all of the series to get 3 Space Marines to come help them on a thing that was very, very important.
Yes.
3.
Yeah.
He had to basically like sell his soul to the devil to get 3 Space Marines. And he was blown away they even showed up. Because they weren't ordered to. They chose to.
The chapter master was like talking to everybody around the poker table after hours.
Yeah,
like,
they were like black shields.
Hey.
It was like a space wolf, a white scar, and an iron snake. So it was like they weren't even like, he just sent out a broadcast saying, hey, the galaxy's ending. Could I get some help here? Remember me? Here's my ID code.
Yeah.
And the Space Marines all sitting around, drinking a stein of ale, were all like, anybody know this guy? Anybody? Yeah, I do. If you're interested in helping him, you got, I guess, whatever. Loser. And 3 Space Marines show up. 3. 3 Space Marines show up. Now, those 3 Space Marines in the Gaunt's Ghost novel are Space Marines.
Yes.
They F shit up.
They solve problems.
They solved the problem. They almost died, too, but they solved the problem. So, yeah. But it was like something bigger. Like, they get there and they realize that, oh, you weren't joking. This is kind of bad.
It was like, should we call for backup? Nah, I think we got it.
Thought they were Alpha Legion? No, they were... I'm pretty sure it was a White Scar, a Space Wolf, and an Iron Snake.
Man, White Scars could be cool. A lot of white.
It's a lot of bikes. You like bikes. You're going to do all their bikes.
Cool. Yeah.
The bikes. The bikes are not... I don't think they're the best unit that you want to do for Space Marines, but they're cool.
Yeah.
Mike says, Planetary Defense Force first, Militia, Knights, Solar Auxilia, Space Marines. Well, Solar Auxilia doesn't exist anymore, right? If you're talking about... Are we talking about 30K? In 30K, there were a lot more Space Marines, and they were much more prevalent. 1 through 4 have to die first. Do Stormtroopers count as Space Marines? In what reality is this coming about?
No.
Not even.
No, they do not. Those 2 things cannot be compared in the same reality.
Luna Wolves, baby J. Luna Wolves.
Nah.
The only Luna Wolves are the ones that actually stayed loyal. Heretics.
I heard Loken's a cool guy.
Yeah, he is. He is. He killed baby Horus, little Horus.
I think he's also the
Horus Aximand.
The first guy to kill one of his own brethren in the first book.
Maybe?
Makes a big deal out of it.
Maybe.
Because he gets attacked by one of the Space Marines.
When they were doing the Lodge stuff, they came after him, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't want the Lodge coin.
He gets attacked by something. No, it was before that.
Was it?
Yeah, he's like on some planet, and they're talking about the whispers of something going on, and one of his dudes attacks him out of the blue. He's like, "What the fudge is going on?"
Oh, because his dude got taken over by Chaos.
Correct. They don't say it at the time. You know that's what's happening.
Right.
And they
I do remember
they brawl it out.
I do remember that, but he was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, he's at like underground at the edge of like a well or something.
So think of that story and then amplify it by what you know about Custodes. Custodes are supposedly impervious to that. And in the Heresy, when they board the Vengeful Spirit, the Custodes take it on each other. They turn on each other and have to kill each other.
Yeah.
That's how bad Chaos got over Terra at the end.
I thought it was cool because I had never really thought about the concept of like Space Marines not like having a tenet of like not doing harm to their brethren, and they make a big deal about it in the book, and I was like, that kind of lays the foundation for how horrible this whole heresy thing becomes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's pretty bent out of shape about it.
There are like solar system protectors in your local solar system. In 40K there aren't. There's PDF and Guard. That's it.
I have always wanted to do
the Solar Auxilia were the elite troops during the Terran Wars, right?
You might be thinking about the Solar Guard, which is a sub-faction of the Custodes that are the outer rim.
No, the Solar Auxilia is right. It was the Imperial Guard in 30K, but just was the elites in the system Sol. They make models for them. I'm using their models for my Dark Angels, for the vehicles and stuff. That was the pre-Imperial Guard.
Well, the I think it's the Solar Guard are the like outer rim.
Yeah, but that's not what he said.
Oh, okay.
He said Solar Auxilia.
No, I'm talking about the
Solar Guard is a sub-faction of Custodes.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mike's post at the bottom being the Solar Guard.
No, because he's responding to his Solar Auxilia post above that I made a comment on. You need to keep up.
I'm confused.
I wonder what happened if GW finds it wants to up the model scale again. How do they introduce an even super Marine to replace the Custodes? To replace Custodes? How do you mean? I think it's odd, and I wish that, you wish you could go back in time, because the Custodes models when they came out were a little bit bigger than the regular Space Marines, which they should have been. Yeah. But now with Primaris, they're just small again. So you need bigger Custodes, right? So they get that. Now that I think Primaris set the floor, though, right? I think that Primaris Marines set the scale. Everything should be based around Primaris Marines now. Because Primaris Marines feel like what Marines should have been, but that's only if they keep the scale of the old, like, Imperial Guard and stuff. Yep. Imperial Guard have now gotten a little bit bigger. Everything's crept a little bit. So, yeah, I think it gets to be to where you're pretty soon you're into, like, 42 millimeter models, right? You're at that Conquest scale. Right?
Yeah, which is huge.
It's big, right?
I actually have one of those models here.
It starts to be like G.I. Joe action figures pretty soon. That's why with our models, we're going backwards. 28 mil scale. True 28 mil, where a 25 mil base still works. So we don't have that same scale. And then medium actually means something. If you weren't here yesterday, we showed off some of the models for our upcoming game. Ta-da! Look at that. It's a Rhino with a solar cannon.
Yup.
Everybody's just using the McFarlane. That's why the McFarlane Marines exist. Pretty soon that's going to be the scale we play at. It was funny because at LVO, one of our retailers, War Room in Las Vegas, they did that. They brought the Necron, Gene Stealer, and Space Marine models. They had a bunch of them. They did painting competitions, brought a bunch of them, and they fought with them. They did a scenario where you got to play a Marine at that scale, that McFarlane scale. That's cool. Yeah, and they had it on the floor on a map. It was pretty cool.
That's really neat.
They had like 20 different models. Crazy. They gave me a gene stealer. There's one here at the office someplace that I'm supposed to paint.
That was a while ago, Jason.
Well, I mean, I told them, look, you know, if you give me something to paint, it ain't guaranteed it ever gets done.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, which one of these would you like to paint? I was like, I'm sick of painting Space Marines. They're like, paint this. And they gave me a gene stealer. So I have a McFarlane gene stealer somewhere around here that would be fun. With all the Tyranid stuff going on, that'd be kind of fun.
You
all
dig.
Right, we gotta paint.
We do have to paint.
Gotta paint. What is all this talking nonsense?
We don't have a comfy chair set up yet for us to be able to stream and talk in the comfy chairs.
What about the Joy Toy dreadnoughts and warsuits? They had those there, but they weren't playing with them, I don't think. Those things are huge, by the way. But the Joy Toy scale is different than the McFarlane scale. And they were using the McFarlane ones. Like a McFarlane dreadnought would be huge. Like 2 feet tall. Right? The Joy Toy one is still big. As a matter of fact, I think that LVO this year was the first time the Joy Toy Invictus Warsuit and stuff had been released, right? First time I had seen them.
Was it?
Yeah. There are several Space Marine chapters you wouldn't want to be saved by. Flesh Terrors, Marines Malevolent, Minotaurs, Lamenters. The Flesh Terrors, I don't think technically exist anymore, right? Didn't they get killed in the devastation of Baal? The Blood Angels lost like 75% of their subchapters during the devastation of Baal. I think that's why in the new index, you can take the Flesh Terrors captain in a Blood Angels army. They don't have to be Flesh Terrors. There is no Flesh Terrors. He's just a Blood Angels captain now, right?
Question.
You got one of the feathers of Sanguinius to protect or something like that?
Which shoulder does the
icon go on?
Yeah.
You can choose, you just have to keep it the same. I typically do it on the left and put unit numbers and symbols on the right. But some people put it on the right and do the other stuff on the left. I don't know. I've always done icons on the left shoulder plate, I think. Yeah. Like most of my stuff I do left shoulder plate. That's all the Blood Angels do, right? I'm doing left shoulder plate.
I just hate that this one's like up and back.
I mean, they can't all be out front.
True.
But you could do it on the right shoulder. All but wiped out. Arctic, yeah, I think so.
DD Builds.
DD Builds, what's going on, man? Good to see ya. Use a twister spinner. Left foot. Oh, wait. Okay, announcement too. Did the post go out before stream?
I don't know.
Okay.
I did take a
There's a post coming out today that talks about what we're doing for July 4th. If you're here in the States or no matter where you are in the world, next Tuesday is July 4th. Baby J and I are going to stream. We are going to come in. We're going to start streaming at 10 a.m. We're going to go to 4 p.m. So that's 6 luxurious hours of dealing with us that you have to put up with.
Yep.
And we might even go later. Who knows? Depends on how we're feeling. Might get crazy. Might do some chair talk time. The microphones tried to be delivered last night, but Amazon doesn't seem to realize when we're open.
I literally saw them as I was driving away.
Idiots. So we have microphones. We'll have lights by then. We're going to get all that stuff set up to where we can have some kind of ad hoc like camera on the comfy chairs. We might do some podcast style stuff. We're going to do some giveaways. We can give away some paints, give away some fun stuff. So Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. Will be a definite time frame that we're going to do it. We're just going to have some fun. Sit around, do some random hourly giveaways, maybe, something like that. Paint, talk nonsense. Should be good. Live on-air fireworks. Yes, we are going to launch big cannon fireworks right here inside the room. We're going to tie sparklers to Baby J for the entire show.
Gosh.
We're going to light them one at a time. 1 an hour for the whole show. Until he's just a walking sparkler.
Can I dance then?
For every $5 donation, we will tape another sparkler to Baby J. Nipple sparklers. No body part is off limits at this point in time.
Jeez.
He didn't know what he said yes to.
I suggested it. Gosh darn it.
This is your idea.
This is my idea.
DD Bill says, I'm not dead, I swear. Life gets in the way sometimes, man. Good to see you, though. Yeah, he signed on to this. He says it's his idea, so there you go. You heard that live on chat. Clip that, not my problem. Clip that, not my problem. I'm back to lots of pink. pale pink.
Yeah, you enjoy doing all that trim.
Yeah, I'm having fun. Is this the part where we have fun? I feel like this is the part where we have fun. We're supposed to be having fun. Is this fun?
We're supposed to be having fun?
Is this thing fun? We're supposed to be having... Oh, wait a minute. You asked that like you're not having fun. This guy. This guy. Just a minute ago, he was saying how thankful he was to have such a wonderful place to come every day.
I wasn't talking about stream.
Oh. Oh.
Just kidding.
Chat.
You guys are great.
Chat. I don't
right,
think that's how friendship works. I'm going to throw it out there. Don't think that's how friendship
works. Let's watch Jason
chat.
do all the edge highlighting on this thing.
Oh boy. It has quite a few edges, turns out. Big box with lots of boxes on it.
Just dry brush it all. It'll be fine.
Well, you know, that's a possibility.
Bakumaru, I do not let anybody eat the paint.
Don't eat the paint.
I do.
Try not to eat the paint, please. I know it's tempting. Sitting around, jonesing for a snack. Beautiful bottle of Pro Acryl sitting right there in front of you. You're like, you know what? People say not to. What do they know? Turns out, a lot. So don't eat the paint. Sure, Mike. What's the flavor palette? Jesus.
Hit us up with the question, sir.
Lady Wolfen said, that's it, I'm unfollowing.
Oh, no. That's
not possible. Once you followed, you can't change it.
Yeah, you literally can't click the button. It's not there anymore.
You've sold your soul to the Acrylites.
Yep.
There's far worse to follow. There's worse to follow, I think, right?
Worse to follow?
We're pretty up there with bad decision making.
What? We're not. We're great.
We're pretty far up there in the oops, I shouldn't have done that category.
No, we're doing fine.
It's all kind of a matter of self-respect.
I think I follow worse. Lady Wolfen.
Like, how much do you like yourself? You like yourself a lot? Then this is probably a bad place for you.
Wait, am I not allowed to like myself?
Well, I mean...
Is that part of the...
In the grand scheme of good life decisions, hanging out with us, questionable at best. Watching all paint Space Marines all day finally has you paint your Arbedis and considering Leviathan with a buddy. Baka, we win! Wait a minute, that's GW stuff.
Yep. You're going to use Pro Girl to paint it, right?
Law Dog says, I've been visiting jails looking for wives. Best advice I've given on the
God.
stream in a long time.
I remember,
Right there.
chat. Bad advice was given out yesterday. We mentioned it.
Very good bad advice, I'll have you know.
I'm pretty sure the very good does not outweigh the bad advice part.
You, what the, who even are you?
Hi, my name is Baby J, also known as Jordan. And I am the sound voice of reason.
Ha. You know how I know you're lying? Ha.
How do you know I'm lying?
Because I work with you?
Uh-huh. How do you know I'm lying?
Voice of reason came out of your mouth.
Yep. That's accurate. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
You're implying I make bad decisions.
I mean,
I don't understand.
You're here.
You say you mean you're here? I mean, I could just leave.
I mean, you're here.
I could just, I could walk out. And
That is very
Walk out of the room.
counterproductive to having fun in your life, Baby J.
That's true. I don't want to leave. Because I can't.
And remember the contract. Remember the whole signed your soul away part?
I did sign my soul away.
Just, I don't like to have to remind you, especially not in a public forum, but
Yeah.
I just need you to take a moment and reflect.
I need a break from this guy.
Not doing it for you right this minute?
I need a break from this guy, yeah. He's looking great. I'm happy with him.
I think it looks great, yeah.
I'm not inspired on this guy right now.
Yep. We're getting to the end.
Means I need to take a break. If there's anything
That means you gotta paint the other two. Ha ha! That's how to get invigorated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not how it works, I don't think. What do we have over here?
Mike says, so I have a display submission coming up for Warzone Houston, and I'm submitting a Blood Angels drop pod hanger holding a drop pod, but I'm in between a dark ivory floor or a marble floor, trying to envision what a Blood Angels launch deck would look like. This is a good question because I don't like the whole, this is just a personal stance. I don't like the whole idea of like marble floors and walls and all that stuff in spacecraft. But I get the gothic nature of what they're trying to do in 40K and the kind of like, over the top. I don't know. I almost think it would be like a black marble would work really good visually, right? If you do white marble, it always steals the show. Snow always steals the show, right? So you have to be very careful in those scenarios because the model then has to make sense and really drive itself into that scenario where the floor is so bright, right? Or walls or whatever. So if you're doing snow, you do something that's big and bulky and covered in snow and supposed to be in that environment all the time to pull it together. Big polar bear, space wolf, something like that to where the snow is part of the story and it just conjures up that whole cold image, right? White marble doesn't have that context. White marble is royalty. It's clean. It's palaces and things like that. So if what you're trying to do is tell the story of how palatial Blood Angels launch decks are, then you could do it and it would tell that story. If what you're trying to do is focus on this drop pod and the environs and the situation that it's about to leave the ship and all of that, if you want to then do marble so that you have the idea of how they built these ships, I would dull the marble down into grays and blacks. Still works very good with the red aesthetic of Blood Angels, still gives you the material you're looking for that tells the story, but puts the focus back on the thing that you're painting that you want the scene to be. So again, just be careful with that. That's how color works. The brighter, more vibrant colors you throw on it, the eye pulls right to it, and start your story there. I always harken back to when you're learning English class and they're telling you how to write a report, like your book report. The first paragraph is the most important paragraph in your book report because it sets up the story. It sets up your position. It sets up what you're about to do, right? And that's the first brightest color on any model you paint, is that opening paragraph. So make sure that the thing that pulls your eye towards it first on the model is an important part of the storytelling you're trying to do, because it's going to set the stage for everywhere else they look. So, right? Make sense? Drop pod is a Death Storm drop pod with a Tech Marine loading up the last missile. Yeah, so it sounds like that's your focus, so don't pull the focus to the floor, because the floor has nothing to do with the Tech Marine loading the last missile.
Yep. You want that to all be the focal point, so you don't want other stuff that's going to draw attention away. Make it interesting, so that when people explore the piece after they're done looking at the focal point, that there's lots of little bits and bobs that they can get interested in, but you don't want it to be so loud that it draws all the attention away.
Yeah, it gets to be too bright, too loud. It pulls the eye away from all the other work you've done. It lessens the contrast in all of your other work when the floor is that bright. So yeah, black, I think, black or metal. You know, metal launch deck is where my head goes if I were doing it. But now that we've talked through it, I think that the black marble could be really bitchin', right? What would be perfect is if you had like black metal edging to marble tiles. Yeah. So you can imagine like the flight deck has these steel girder interlaced, but the tiles that are interlaced in there are like black marble. That would be bitchin'. Cool. Yeah. As opposed to just solid marble tile. But that's my brain going like, how do they put this in the deck of a ship and it's shifting so the marble would crack, so it has to have expansion joints. So that's where my brain goes, because I'm an idiot. But I spent like 45 minutes one stream talking about the composition of concrete and why we paint it the way we do. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
Composition of concrete and why we paint it the way we do.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I have to be very careful, because I get into the reality of the thing and forget the fantasy of the thing sometimes. Like, I gotta give you some leeway. There you go. The Zone Mortalis tiles, but they are separated by metal. Oh yeah, cool, perfect. I kind of know, when I think Zone Mortalis, I think of the little upright walls more than anything, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, somebody mentioned like flecks of gold, and like black marble with white and a little bit of gold flecked through it. I think would be cool. That could be really neat. Bakamaro says that rich gold is fire, though, Baby J.
Thank you.
Well, he's not mad at the model. He's just sick of painting it.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time like really focusing on painting it really nice and fancy, and it's a lot.
Phoenix Mercer says, so Baby J, what exactly do you do at Monument Hobbies? I put in the exactly just so you don't get offended. Well, he's offended because I did it.
Do a lot of stuff. I record shorts and videos for your guys' viewing pleasure.
He paints all the things.
I paint a bunch of stuff. I am here on stream for you guys' viewing pleasure. I do a lot of social media interaction with you guys. Talk to the community a lot through Discord.
Somebody said Jen and Jason's assistant. I don't think that's the case.
No.
If he is, he's really bad at it, because none of my stuff's getting done.
Yeah. I answered help desk tickets a lot.
Yep. He's on the help desk for anything that is like I dread to say high end, but all of the technical, more technical painting help desk stuff that we get.
Yep. I am the go-to right now for the monumental stuff, so I go through all the monumentals applications and talk to our wonderful monumental partners, who are awesome, by the way, if any of you guys are in chat. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff.
Basically part of our loosely phrased marketing team.
Yeah.
And that he and Gabe work together to create the ongoing content. So a lot of it you haven't even seen.
Yeah.
Because he and Gabe are getting up to speed, building up a big portfolio of stuff. There's going to be a lot of really cool new YouTube content coming out.
Yeah.
I think one of which is him and Gabe like teaching Gabe how to paint a model.
Yeah,
so it's actually really cool.
We're doing a whole series of episodes on how to teach Gabe to paint models fast. So if you think about kind of the structure of how I did the what the heck is that model's name? When I taught you guys how I was painting the Lord Croak
Lord
model.
Croak.
It's like that, but in a more structured form where I'm teaching somebody who's on camera painting and learning. So the idea is he's going to have a lot of the questions that you guys would have, and we'll ask them so that we can answer them ahead of time, so you guys can get answers to a lot of those questions without having to ask questions, which is great. And those recordings seem to be going really well. So it's going to be super fun. Mike, you actually got accepted in Monumentals. Oh! Now your name is familiar. Your handle is very different than your social media handle. So I was like, wait a second.
Mike, you got to blame that guy then. The
Yeah,
fact
you
that you're
blame
in
me.
is his fault.
Yeah. So, hi. Yeah. The minute you said that, I was like, wait a second. Radio Free is fun. Yeah, I managed to go through all of our applications this morning and all of our, what I like to call our up and coming monumentals. Yeah. Great content. Welcome. Thank you for your application, and thanks for being part of the crew.
He's okay. That guy's okay.
Would y'all be able to do something for me? Keep being awesome. I will do my very best.
I don't know. I don't like being told what to do.
I will also make sure that he keeps being awesome too.
I don't like being told what to do, chat. You guys are mean to me. Delta says, how easy is it to use an airbrush accurately? Best way to practice with it. One of the best ways to practice your airbrushing for detail is to airbrush a lot of lines and shapes on a piece of paper or something like that, a large surface. The big thing you're trying to do is keep consistency of spray so your line doesn't get, thicker, thinner as you release and add air pressure to it, basically pulling the needle back and forth. Being able to practice your hand-eye coordination, I guess, is really what that is. Your muscle memory for being able to keep the trigger pulled to where you're getting the right amount of air paint mixture for longer periods of time. So when you ask how hard is it, that's all how well and quick do you learn those types of things to kind of give you an accurate answer. There is no accurate answer. Some people just get it because they've done other things. When I first picked up an airbrush, I was the biggest klutz in the world and hated it. I was probably, I want to say I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I got I think it was a tester. No, it was Posh, whatever you call it. Posh, plastic, spring trigger, siphon feed, glass jar, plastic unibody, and canned air screwed into the handle.
Yes.
So it was this big klutzy thing. It was very heavy because you put canned compressed air in it. Yep. And it's siphon fed. So it's the most horrible thing. But it was a big airbrush. It was supposed to teach you, whatever. And it came with inks. And so I just used them thinking, oh, this is cool. And so I started trying to paint with it and all that and did like what they showed me in the book to make the circles and stuff. And it was all disaster, right? Lots of speckles because the needle wasn't ground very well. But I hated it. It didn't feel natural to me, even though it was a pistol grip, right? It wasn't a top trigger. It was a pistol grip, janky piece of junk. It didn't feel natural to me painting that way because I didn't know where the paint was going to hit the surface because it wasn't a paintbrush. It wasn't a pencil where you're dialing it in and you're used to that. So it just didn't feel good. And I felt like, oh my God, I'm messing everything up. And as a kid, I got very frustrated and threw it away. Didn't throw it away. Stuck it in a box. Didn't ever clean it. It was destroyed. And then didn't even think about airbrushing. And everybody that told me airbrushing was the way for tanks and all that back in the day, I was like, no, because you only had like Posh and I can't even remember what other thing might have been there. There was an artist.
A lot of good options.
There was an artist airbrush that was like way too much money, right? That was meant for photo editing. Back before Photoshop, they would do it with airbrushes. So I just left them alone forever. Then, over the years, I started painting automobile stuff, like auto panels, and, you can imagine like it's called a high-pressure, low-volume HPLV gun, right? So you would use these spray guns, And I got used to that, and even spray cans and things like that. And so you got kind of used to the aiming your paint versus, with that distance of how it is from your hand. The paint isn't right off the tip of your hand like a pencil or a brush. It's 8 inches away from where your hand is, and you have to keep moving your hand, and it feels sloppier, but you can still do detail. And I started doing that without really thinking about how it would affect my modeling stuff. And as I got better with those things, then I went back and said, well, let me try one of these. And the only thing that really got me initially is that the top trigger airbrushes were a different ergonomic way of using the same process, because all the HPLVs are triggers, right? Yep. And so, but it made me better at that confident part of spraying and getting it where I wanted. And so that's what I did. So whenever you're picking up a new airbrush, realize that there's going to be that learning. That's why I say base coat, prime with it, do all the big coverage things first, get used to how the paint comes out of the airbrush, get used to all that. And then as you want to get into more and more detail, start learning how to practice getting in close. Because you'll see, I'll use it. I don't know if I'll do it today, but one of the things I plan on doing with this guy, because of the big panels, is go back in with this pale pink and do a little bit of spot highlighting after I've done my edges, right? So I'll go back in with a very diluted pale pink, or maybe even pink, and come in here, and I'll have to get in real close. So you'll see me spraying like this, like a 1/4 of an inch away from the model. So you've got to get, number one, very good at getting in close and holding steady, but still making sure that you're moving the tip enough like this. You'll see me rotate in little circular spots so I don't get that webbing, that spider legging out. So detailing takes a lot more patience, a lot more hand-eye coordination, a lot more muscle control, because you're still the same machine putting out the same amount of paint, the same ability to base coat, big spray, but you're trying to do it in very small locations to get just little small spritzes of color. So that's where it gets a little daunting for some people. They start looking at it like, oh, holy hell, because the first time you get in there and you do it like tons of paint, because you're used to pulling the trigger back real far to base coat. So you got to get used to writing that spot that I call the paint no paint line. Whenever you get there and you start pulling back, you'll see that, okay, I got air by pushing down. I start pulling back. Where do I actually get visible paint? Maybe it's somewhere right around there. And being able to then lock your finger in so that you can ride that spot, as opposed to, janking it back like you would for priming all the way. So just practice.
Law Dog says, sounds hugely helpful. I'm assuming you're referring to the video idea. I hope so. That was kind of the idea when we came up with it. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Mike, you said one of your locals found your stream and said they wanted to buy Acryl and found out we were right around the corner. That's awesome.
Aren't I still 10 to 11? Wait a minute. Here? Yes. I might have aged to like 13 in my head, because as I relate to my nephew, there's a lot of similarities there. Jake says, "You ain't my real dad. You think you're gonna start your first Warhammer army? You're thinking about Tyranids? Bugs. Do it." I've seen a lot of really cool color schemes for the new Tyranids that it always makes me want to paint Tyranids, and then I paint a Tyranid. I'm like, I'm never painting Tyranids again.
See, like this made me want to paint more Tyranids. I really dug this.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, they're fun. They look good. You find a lot of the YouTube content on painting is look at this easy trick. Yeah. Unfortunately, the language and the buzzword is like, hey, this is secretly easy. And what they're forgetting is all the pre-knowledge, I call it pre-knowledge, that you have as a painter. Like someone who's been painting like me for, 45 years. There's a lot of pre-knowledge that you built up. It wasn't pre-knowledge originally, it's learned. But at some point in time, it becomes you're riding a bicycle experience. You just know how to pick the bicycle up and get on it and go. There's still things you can learn about riding a bicycle, but the primary thing of standing it up and getting on it and balancing it, it's committed to memory. You just know it. It's pre-knowledge. You don't worry about that part anymore. The problem with art is there's a ton of that front-loaded. And you forget that when you're talking to people that may or may not have ever touched a brush in their life for this purpose, that pre-knowledge has to be explained too. We have to go through the basic steps of, hey, when you're brushing the paint on, make sure you always brush towards the location you want your paint to go. Don't push too hard. You'll get more paint when you push harder. That makes your lines thicker, builds up more material on the model. Those things that we just take for granted have to be explained in order for it to really be simple, right? Yep. That yes, you may be able to do yellow in 2 colors and in 5 minutes if you already know all these other things that I'm doing. And so be careful with that, because, well, I say don't be careful with it. There's no need to tiptoe around it. It's just make sure that you don't levy too much expectation on yourself if you're watching a painter say that to you, even us, because we will forget that, oh, yeah, let me back up. In order to do this, you need to know how to glaze. So here's what glazing is, right? So you might have to take things that you see in that It's Secretly Easy video, take things that you're like, I don't know how they did that, and then go Google and find that step too, because there's probably 3 or 4 steps that weren't covered.
Yep.
We joke about it, and it's just paint the damn owl. You see all the speed paint videos and things out there that are like, I do this step and see how sketchy and everything is loose, and then the final picture is like, ta-da! And it's like, whoa, what happened to the 50 hours in between?
It's not like the other.
Yeah, that's not even the same model. Yeah. And it's easy because there's a magic in the in-between steps, and sometimes it's loaded behind a paywall on PayPal or Patreon or whatever. That's fine. But just realize, don't get discouraged when you see that you're following along really well, and then at some point in time it just goes off the rails, because there's probably something that's being missed there. You need a new compressor, yours died. Whoa! The motor caught fire. What? I feel like that's bad.
That's not good.
Jake, you like the airbrushes, but you're not good enough to spend that money on one yet. That's always a weird one, and I'm with you on that. I feel like you always advance as your pocketbook allows with your confidence. There's a crossover point. For some people, they're willing to invest heavy at the beginning to get the best quality, so that as they're learning, they know they're not fighting the tool. There's a very valid diatribe there, right? If you can afford the airbrush and you want to learn it, you want to learn with the best equipment. And that way you know that as you're learning, you're not having to learn bad habits or get over bad engineering. But with airbrush, it's just a very simple tool. So buying like the $100 Masters airbrush, I think we found one that was $150 for Jacob the other day.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Airbrush compressor, the whole nine, right?
Yeah.
So you can get that like $150, get an airbrush compressor and everything. See if you like it before you spend heavier money, because you'll get good stuff out of it. That compressor will last you until it catches fire, like stated in chat. We just scared everybody. I'm not airbrushing. It's going to burn my house down. But, you get your airbrush, you get a hose, you get parts that you'll use, whether the airbrush lasts forever. What you might use it to base coat and prime for the rest of your life for $150. Great deal. But what it will do is it will show you if airbrushing is something that you like to do. And if it is something you like to do and you start finding that you want to get better, but the tool is limiting you, then you jump up and you buy something else. Because you'll never have wasted money at the low dollar point. Within reason. Some of them are garbage, and you'll find that you just get a garbage. We've tested some of them on stream years and years ago and shown you. It's like, hey, I ordered this. It came from China. I can't read any of the instructions. I sprayed with it for 4 days, and chrome started peeling off of it, So as long as you don't have a disaster like that, you'll be able to use all those tools, and the money isn't misspent. So when you go to buy a better brush, you don't feel like, I should have just bought this first. You'll be like, hey, this is the natural progression of things. So.
And it's nice because that compressor that you get and all those accessories like the hose and all that stuff will work with any airbrush that you upgrade to. You pick up one of our Grex airbrushes, it'll work just fine.
Source what's going on. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. Put a couple of pics of your Imperial Knight up on Discord. Its primary color is purple Songer. I like it.
I saw it. Songer. It looks dope.
Milled Out Gaming, thank you for the follow. Hey, look, that's why I like Vince. Vince is very good at it, right? Yeah, he covers a lot of the fundamental things and makes sure. Vince gets it. Vince understands, right? Vince is going to teach you things, kind of like the way that we like to do it, which are going to give you the steps and then allow you to turn them into what you want them to be, rather than trying to show you Slayer sword winning things, which we can do, but it's very daunting. And then all of a sudden, at the end of it, I feel like it's more discouraging to not be able to have anything comparable to what's on the screen. You feel like you've messed up.
It's true.
Right? As opposed to learning something, feeling comfortable with it, and then taking it and adding to it and making it better and better and better and better.
Yep.
You love watching content, but there's no replacement for putting a paintbrush in paint and slopping it on a model? Hey, 100%. Go paint. Legit, go paint. But I think that's one of the reasons why content on demand, like on YouTube, is so great. Stuff like this, if you have the time to sit with us and be painting while we're talking to you like we are right now, you can say, hey, if I'm doing this, I can try this out. And I just saw you do this thing. Show me how you did that. And then you can try it right there. But like having a YouTube video on in the background while you're painting can help a lot. Pause it, do your thing, start it up again.
Yeah, follow
great
along.
Tools. I'm very jealous that you guys are all learning how to paint in a world where you get these tools.
Yeah, it's really nice. When I was first starting painting, I did not have these tools.
No.
I lucked out. I met a studio painter who was helpful enough to teach me stuff.
Yeah, you bought a decent one that lets you practice, Jake. Awesome. That's the way to do it. Airbrushing is something you like to do for priming source. Yeah, it's great. If all you ever, I always say, if all you do is buy a $150 Masters compressor airbrush combo with the 0.3 needle in it, and all you do is prime with it, it's a win. It will save you money in the long term. Somebody in chat mentioned that it's the cost, that $150 is the cost of 10 rattle cans. But it'll last you much longer and waste a lot less paint than those 10 rattle cans and actually perform the way you need it to all the time. So
it's less than 10 rattle cans now too.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? With the cost of $20 a can now. So it is a much better method for priming. So if that's all you do, now generally what you'll do is you'll also start base coating and underpainting and things like that, and so it will elevate your painting experience and speed things up for you. To be fair, you've abused yours pretty heavily, Arctic. You have a compressor you'd recommend that's a decent compromise between noise and function? I mean, it depends on your space, right? If you need a hobby compressor, I'm not the one to ask. I don't like them. The pistonless, small, they overheat, they run too much. It causes the air in the line to be a little funky, can build up moisture just because of the heat the compressor itself is generating. Even in dry climates like this, a little hobby compressor needs a moisture trap and builds up a lot of moisture even in Arizona because it's creating its own microclimate by creating the humidity and the air and the heat. And you need to get one with a tank. And so by the time you've done that, you're probably to about $150 for a little bitty compressor. Now, granted, they are small, so they are a lot less noisy, but our California air compressors one is fantastic, right? And it's fairly quiet. It runs at about 62 dB or something like that, somewhere between 58 and 62 dB, which is conversational level. You can still talk while it's running.
Yeah.
And not feel too bad about it. But it depends on where you're living. If you're in an apartment and you know that when you set it up on the floor, the person below you hears the vibrations, then it may not work. It's between the hobby compressors and the air quotes quiet industrial compressors, right? The best thing you can do is buy yourself a construction style, Home Depot style compressor that has a bigger tank to it, a bigger motor, and put it in a garage space, bore a hole in the wall and pull a cable through and use it to where it's in another room, outside, in your garage, right? Something like that. That's your best bet. Because then you have a compressor that is rated for a lot heavier duty work than you're asking it to do, which by you using it at a much lighter duty level, it'll last you forever. And it can do way more than you need your compressor to do. It'll fill the tires in your car, So having it is never a bad thing. And you can get those for $99. Home Depot has a little pancake compressors that they sell all the time on sale for like $99 to $150. And they're like 1.5 horse compressors that are loud as crap. So you got to be able to put them in your garage. But if you can do that, right, then you only have to spend, $15-20 on fittings to knock it down from 1/4 inch thread to 1/8 inch, which is what we use for hobby compressors. And the air hoses we use. And so with a few fitting changes, you can put a moisture trap on it, have it out in the garage. That's what we have done for years. Here, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be putting the compressor out as soon as we do the final touches on the studio here. It'll be out in the hallway, in the other room here, and we'll run the hose through the wall. That way we'll lose all that noise in here for microphone intrusion. But obviously we're in a commercial facility, so we don't care necessarily about the noise. But technically, we could run a line off of the 160 gallon out in the production facility, but that's a little overkill.
I like that plan.
Gosu, what's happening, man?
What up, Gosu? Going well.
Is it possible to fill the compressor outside then use it inside? Sure, you can actually, they make tanks. You can run a compressor outside, run the line from the compressor to compress and fill the tank. And you can fill the tank to like 120 psi or whatever, 100 psi, and then on the output side of that tank have your airbrush, right? You can go to air gas and you can buy compressed air, right, in big tanks, and that lasts quite a while and makes zero noise other than a slight hiss as you're using it, right? And you can get those and rent the tank and go in and have them refill it for $4 every time, and you can do that a lot of times before you've spent the money for a compressor if you need silence. And they make those up to, 20-gallon, 40-gallon tanks. They're huge, right? Now, you probably don't want to be lifting a 40-gallon, cast iron bullet tank up and down the
not
stairs
to.
of your apartment, but they sell them in all sizes. Medical grade stuff, and you can get it and just put you just connect the hose with some fitting adapters onto it, open it up. You have to have one of those water traps with a valve to release, because when you open it up, it generally won't. You need to create your own valve so that you can adjust the pressure, but you can do all sorts of stuff. Airbrushing at 10,000 psi. 10,000 psi is a lot, by the way. That's like jet engine pressure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna blow a lot of things
trying to beat the sound barrier
up.
Can you imagine hitting the trigger on a 10,000 psi airbrush? You'd be like, whoop, and it'd be like through the wall.
You would be through the wall.
No, it would just leave your hand. It might take your fingers with you.
Yeah.
What model is a California compressor? I don't ever remember the number. A 1P1. No, it's a 1P 1060 SP.
1P1060 SP.
Yeah.
There you go, chat. 1P1060 SP.
Source. That's the best answer I've ever heard.
What did he say? My
So-
neighbor's complaining about pressure noise. I'll reply with, "Oh, I'm sorry. I must have."
I left my adult toy on the floor, and they'll never come ask you again. Have you tried the cordless airbrush? I've been thinking about trying it out to do quick little glow effects. Your wife doesn't allow you to airbrush in the house, and it's hot outside. You'll be unhappy with it over time. It's a garbage product. I'm just going to be blunt with you. Anybody that's trying to... I have to watch it because I'm a manufacturer, right? It's a horrible product for using as an airbrush product for what we do. Now, you've been very specific and said you want to use it to do little spots of glow. Maybe you want to just go and have it available to you when you go to your local gaming store and you don't want to haul a compressor and all that. I can see it working in those situations. It will never last, right? It'll just never last. Those small products that say they can generate pressure at 20 to 30 psi that have no piston and a negligible motor, like less of a motor than an RC car has, are not going to last, because they're overworking the entire assembly. It gets very hot generally. Doesn't have much charge. I'm not a fan of them. There's no tank. It gives you sputtering air because it can only create air on one wave, one part of the sine wave. And so it's compressing and then releasing and compressing and releasing. So you're getting pulsed air, and it's trying to do it fast enough that it seems like it's constant, but it can't keep up because it's just the technology can't keep up. I know they made those for like doing fingernails and stuff where you're like just doing a little bit of a fingernail thing, and it's not meant to last, not meant to be permanent. For us painting, I'm a little leery of them. Everybody to a person that I've dealt with is like, oh, it's great at first, and then it sucks. So, that good to do. Guess I need to get rid of the wife.
Guess you need to get rid of the wife.
E. Carlson says it worked for one day for me. Yeah, they're literally horrible. It's a great idea, horrible technology. It's just, it turns out in order to create compressed air, you need a lot better equipment working at a lot higher rate of spin. Pistonless or not, you need to have it be generating air for constant airflow the way that we use it. Because the worst thing that could happen to you is that you're getting that pulse of air, because you're getting 30 psi, close to 0 psi, 30 psi, 0, 30, 0, 30, 0. It's not really the way that it works because the hose acts as a little bit of a tank. So it normalizes that a little bit, but not by much. So it's like 30, 15, 30, 15, 30, 15, depending on the length of your hose. But the hose is the only tank you have at that point in time, and generally not good. And if you've got the one that screws right to your airbrush, you have no hose. So you're literally 30, 0, 30, 0, 30, and it can't even make 30 psi. They say it can. Have you seen there's a commercial for this little box that says it can air your tires up?
Nope.
Yeah, it says it's this emergency air compressor, best thing in the world, airs up like these 4x4 tires in under 5 seconds. I'm like, that's a lie.
I want to see it.
And when you read the comments for it, it's like, this is the biggest load of BS ever marketed ever. It doesn't even like fill anything, like the tire itself, once it gets to like 10 psi loaded in the tire, is actually filling the device.
Filling the device, yeah.
Yeah, because it can't put out enough pressure. It's like people don't understand what's going on. You can't take 5 psi and fill a tire, because once the tire goes over 5 psi,